from teaching this topic so much, I kind of had an idea of the way that I normally teach it, and anticipating the way that the areas in which students struggle. So I knew I would start out with a warm-up. It's always refresh their memory, prep them for what we were going to teach today. And I knew that that teaching factoring trinomials could not just be a list of steps. You need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this, and here's your answer. It needed to be a how and a why, and that plays into the Common Core. Common Core is all about being able for students to really understand and have that depth of knowledge of why things work the way that they work and being able to explain it. So that's why I really wanted to move from that warm-up problem into the factoring, because it really shows students how that works and it gets them to understand why and how that works. And then I also knew going into this, some of them, all of them had seen it before, some of them would pick up on it quickly, some of them would not. So a general example as a whole class, they work individually, a group example, with the whole class and then individually, just to give them that time to practice a little bit, refresh their memory, but then to also be able to explain what they did. Why did you use these two numbers? Why are the signs this way for these two numbers? And just making sure they are able to communicate their thinking, which again is the Common Core, and I think that also plays into the WIDA standards with the communication. Sometimes factoring can be a little mundane, and it's just, here's a trinomial, factor it. And so I wanted to maintain it at a higher level for the Common Core, and then to also to have different activities in the class, and that's why I went to create your own problem. It's a higher order thinking skills. It gave them multiple entry points, which is important for the Common Core. And then being able to come back and explain, again, the explanation, why they did what they did, how they came up with their way, and then to contextualize the problem. Like I said earlier, it's not just going to be a problem where it's here factor this trinomial. It's going to be embedded in some other type of problem. So it was not just factoring, it was factoring in relation to area. And so pulling those two concepts together and being able to explain the how and why that they're factoring it. So give them time to practice, make sure that they're understanding how the problem, how factoring works the way that it works, and then moving into a contextualization problem, which I think also plays into the WIDA standards. Using the foldable to keep their thoughts organized, to force them to make sure they're able to identify which type of factoring that we're dealing with, and I think that kind of plays into not only the WIDA and the Common Core standards as well. I think one thing that I purposefully think about when it comes to my English language learners is the vocabulary. With this topic, like I said, they learned about it in Algebra 1. They might have forgotten, but just really going back over and hitting the vocabulary just to make sure not only the English language learners but everyone else understands as well. For instance, when I first started teaching the lessons and it was factoring quadratic trinomials, having them tell me what makes an expression quadratic, or what makes an expression a trinomial, and having them identify quadratic is x squared, trinomial means 3 terms. I'm just really focusing on that vocabulary and making sure that they're able to process that and not just writing words up on the board and let's start with examples, making sure they really understand everything that I'm saying. I also try to make sure that when they're working individually and I'm walking around for my English language learners, just making sure that they've understood everything that I have said and everything that I've modeled in class, because sometimes it's easy just to teach and you get the majority of students in agreement and they're answering questions, but you've got those students who are quiet, which a lot of times can end up being the ESL students just because they might lack the confidence. And so making sure when I'm walking around, I walk by and just make sure what they're doing is correct, asking them if they have any questions. And I found out that if I approach them and I ask them, do you have any questions, they are more inclined to say yes, as opposed to me standing up in front of the whole class and saying, do you have any questions? So I'm purposeful with that in my ESL students, knowing that they might lack that confidence. So let me go over there and ask them, do you have any questions, and then I can help them in that manner.
There are a couple reasons that I enjoy teaching math at Smith, and I guess the first one was I did my student teaching here, and I really liked the department that I worked with. We worked very well together, and it's a collaborative effort. It's not, these are my students, and I'm going to make sure they get good test scores, and I don't really care about anybody else. It's very much a collaborative effort, and we want everybody to succeed. So having that support group is really important, and it's a challenge. And I like the fact that it's a challenge. Every school faces their own challenges. I think Smith has a number of challenges that these students face, and I like having that challenge, and I like being able to reach these kids and work with them and get to know them and just help them be successful.